Welcome to the Womanhood podcast. I'm your host, Shannon, somatic and energetic integration specialist for women, Foundress of Somatic Body and Creatress of the SomaCycle method and the Feminine Harmony program. And I'm here to inspire you to reclaim your rhythms, remember your wisdom, and root into your womanhood. Each week, I'll be discussing topics centered around our womanhood from a multifaceted somatic and energetic viewpoint, weaving together both science with spirituality and masculinity with femininity. We'll be talking cyclical natures and rhythms, intuition, instincts, ancient womb wisdom, and grounded embodiment strategies. Find yourself a cozy space and let's get started. Hello and welcome to the Womanhood podcast, where we talk all things embodied, somatic, and energetic within womanhood. Today I have Courtney here with me.
Hello, guys.
Courtney is the founder of Animal Freedom Collective, helping women build a better relationship with themselves and with animals. She left the vet nursing world and built a business model that lets women do meaningful animal work without sacrificing their time and income. She's here to talk about what that shift really looks like. So, Courtney, to the people who don't know you, who are just tuning in, tell us a little bit about yourself and how you came from vet nursing to where you are now.
Yes.
You can start wherever you want.
Thanks so much, Shannon, for having me. And I'm so excited to share because I feel like, it's a big topic. And I feel like even those that aren't just even in the vet industry, I know that you guys listening will be able to relate to this as well. So for me, I was about 21 years young and I was a very angry woman, and those that know me are like, that is just not you at all. Like, I was just not myself. I was taking it out on my relationships, and I just got to a point where pretty much I was like, there has to be more to life. Like, there has to be more to like what I'm doing, what I'm feeling. I was a very angry child, very sort of toxic family negativity growing up. Love my family and done a lot of work on that, but there was just so much anger built up in me that I just didn't really know what to do with it. And I loved my job as a vet nurse, but I was capped in my income. I was capped in my growth, which was the biggest probably thing for me. And I didn't know what to do. I was like, what am I meant to do? And so I literally remember this one time I've come home from work and I've just sat on the floor and just prayed. I prayed and I didn't even believe in like God. I didn't know what I believed in back then. And I just prayed for something more. I prayed for a miracle, and I was just crying and I was just in just like rock bottom, pretty rock bottom. And then I found an online community. So I started actually doing some yoga. A friend of a friend recommended someone. So I reached out to her. Long story short, started doing some yoga that really helped with like my breathing, and just every time I'd come out of it, my partner at the time was like, you're like a different woman. So just like it was working and it was really helping. And then that led into actually starting a small online business and getting into the online community and into communities and personal development work. And from there, I actually met some of my first mentors in the space, which is still to date some of my best mentors. And that is when everything changed for me. I did some of their work, and it's like I had a different color lens of the world. And I've come out of doing some of their seminars actually feeling more lost than when I came in. But it was like the perfect breaking point for me, because I started understanding how the universe and life worked. I started seeing how I was working. I started seeing just everything from this different lens. And then going back into the industry, going back into my workplace, I was like shocked at what I was seeing and what people was just like how people were acting. And I was like, how am I meant to navigate this? Like, this is not who I am anymore. It's like I'd completely done this identity shift. I've done so many identity shifts. So from there, that's when I started to really dig a bit deeper in like, who am I? What do I want? What is my mission? What am I doing? And I always talk about this, when you're around the right people and in the right environments, that's where the magic truly happens. And so, it was really that point where I just knew that I had a bigger calling. I had a bigger calling than the four walls in the surgery room. And I wanted to do more. And I felt like the crazy one. I think those that are listening to this will be able to relate to that too. There's something in you where you're like, I'm here for bigger things, and you feel kind of crazy, and like you can't say some of the things out loud because people are going to judge you, and it's just because you're in the wrong rooms. And that's where I was until I found the right rooms. And it kind of had to get to that breaking point for me to transition. So that's kind of where everything started. So I'm now 29 years young. So for the past 8 years, it has been massive transformation journey to get to this point, and it wasn't easy, but it really, yeah, I had to start somewhere, and I'm really grateful for everything that I've experienced up until this far and what's to come, for sure.
Yeah. It's so funny hearing you talk about that feeling of lost too, coming out of PD, like personal development, and being in
Yes.
the right environment. And I can so resonate with that too, because you always have that upgrade in your body when you get exposed to something new. And it's like that saying, living a sheltered life. I heard that come up recently on social media. And I thought, how interesting is that? Because you can apply that to not just your upbringing. You might not have had a sheltered life like in your upbringing with your parenthood, but when you are put in an industry, in a job, like and like vet nursing is a very specific industry. When you're put in that, it's like you're almost living that sheltered life, as in that's all you know. You're living from that lens.
Yes.
And it was the same for me, like coming out of the more clinical side of alternative therapies. Like it was still alternative therapies, but it was like very much clinical, medical aligned. And it's just so interesting once we do some personal development, it's like it opens the whole world up again. It's like, It's so crazy how, and I totally resonate with why you would feel lost when that happens. And I've experienced that for myself, right? It's like your whole world opens up and it's almost like you're starting on a blank canvas, because you realize that the world you were living was that tiny little speck on the canvas. And now all of a sudden it's much bigger. There's a bigger canvas, much more room to paint.
Yeah, I literally have soul bumps as you're speaking about that. I'm like, oh, it just takes me right back. And it's honestly the best place to be in. Like when you have a blank canvas, like it's something that I actually learned how to be in that place. Like I think a lot of people actually, when they get there, they feel lost and crazy, but it's like, it's actually, you're not actually lost. Like you were saying, Shannon, it's this new canvas, it's this new place, it's a new chapter. It's like this feeling of excitement and curiosity of what's to come. And I don't feel like I definitely didn't learn that in school. I definitely didn't learn that from my parents. I did in a different way, sort of thing. It's helped me navigate to where I am now, but it's something that I feel like a lot of people don't really actually understand how to be in that place. So it's a really valid point.
And I think it also comes down to feeling led. Like I'll always come back to feeling in the body, but when we feel lost in the body, the nervous system wants to go back to what feels safe, because being lost is a form of feeling uncomfortable, of uncertainty. And when we feel lost, we want to go back to what feels safe. And so there has to be a big enough impact for us to feel that the discomfort we're currently living in, where we know our safe zone is, the things we're comfortable and know well, that has to be outweighed by the comfort or discomfort we're going to go through in order to grow, right?
Yes.
And so for you, what was that one thing? Like you mentioned personal development, but was there a specific moment within your personal development and having your mentors where you thought, I can't keep going this way and I'm actually going to make myself more uncomfortable for the growth rather than go back to the discomfort of what I know is safe and what I had been? Like what was it that took you into the, I guess, opportunity to not necessarily become someone new, but to grow and expand? Yeah.
Well, I actually thought moving to a different state, I would be happier. And so I still stayed in the industry, but I just did it in a different state. It's sort of like moving things on the Titanic. The Titanic's still fucking sinking. Like there's, like it is still sinking. But I tried, I really, that's the thing I love about myself, is I give things a crack and I'll really have the benefit of doubt, have the compassion, and I still just try to make something out of nothing, really. Then it just gets to a point where you got to know, okay, this shit ain't good for me anymore, like let's keep moving on. Next thing. But yeah, I moved into state, and honestly, like it was a lot around my beliefs. Like I don't believe in vaccinations. I don't believe in the way like medications. It's sort of like the same as the healthcare industry. For people, I was like, the way animals are being treated, the seeing behind the scenes in GP clinics, like the GP, like I understand the emergency side of things for sure. Like that's why I was nearly going to get into that space. I was either going to do that or become a vet or do something else, specialist, because I was freaking bored. But you know, it was also that part of my beliefs of like actually not really believing how GP clinics are running. And it's like I just couldn't handle anymore. It's like when I know something, I can't unknow it. I can't go back. And so I remember it just got to a point, and luckily, like I've got my bestest of friend, Kristen. We've done life and business, and that's a massive story in itself. And I remember sharing some things with her one day about some things I've experienced in the clinic, what people would perceive as trauma. And she was like, that's not normal, Courtney. And I was like, what do you mean? Like, it just seems normal for me in the industry. She goes, that is some pretty hectic stuff, in the best way possible. I don't remember the specific words, but she was just sharing that, like, hey, like, there's some things there that you, like, what you're sharing, and I can understand how you're feeling to some degree. Like, what you're sharing with me seems pretty big, and it doesn't seem like you've really realized some of the things you've gone through and how challenging that actually has been for you. And that I really took a step back to be like, shit, yeah, you're right. And no one talks about this in the industry. No one talks about this perceived trauma that we go through and the stuff that we put up with and that we let keep going. Like the voice, like people are so scared to have a voice. And so all of that just started building up. And I remember taking myself to the beach up here in Queensland, and I sat myself down and I was writing yes or no questions, and the questions were pretty much based on, and anybody can do this as well. I started writing out, if I had all the money in the world, would I still be doing what I'm doing? No. The answer was no. But okay, cool. Am I just staying in the industry from fear and because I'm afraid of not having money? Yes. Okay. So I just started getting really honest with myself. And as a generator in human design, yes or no questions are really helpful. So I just started using my resources and unpacking it, just getting really clear on like what is going on, and getting to an answer, because I was so back and forwards in what I wanted to do, like leave the industry not. And it was all a lot around fear of not having enough money, the scarcity and all that kind of stuff. But what's worse is for me was being in a place every day, sacrificing my health, really limiting myself and actually not helping as many animals as I know I can and could do, and limiting myself and again in the four walls of a clinic. It's just not where I wanted to be. So I think it was a lot of the sharing actually what was going on for me with other people that are not actually in the clinic, and that it's a safe space to then realize and have that mirrored back to me of like, oh yeah, you're right, like that's actually not okay. And then everything kind of rippled from there.
And so it really does come back to the people that you're around, because when you're in that, so to speak, sheltered area, within that industry, to them that's normalized. But that doesn't mean that it's like, just because it's common doesn't mean it's normal. I always say that, even within symptoms and signs in the body, just because it's common doesn't mean it's normal or vital, as in vital for your health and actually good for you.
Yeah.
And it seems like you really did have that mirrored back. It was like, and it can be jarring. Like I've experienced that too, coming out of an industry. It can be quite jarring, realizing that the way you'd been living is not actually the only way to live. Not just that, but it's not healthy.
Yeah.
And we can even speak to friendships and relationships, because I had the same thing. It was very jarring with a friendship of mine where I was like, oh my God, this feels amazing. Like I haven't been this close with anyone. And for those of you who don't know, Courtney and I have known each other. We've caught up a few times. Online and in person. And we talked about this with friendship. I know I'm kind of segueing here, but we talked about this with friendship, where there can be this like unhealthy amount of attachment, like an enmeshment.
Yes.
And I came out of that relationship realizing, like it was so jarring seeing and comparing, not that we should compare, but we have to in order to see and explore, but comparing that to my other friendships where I thought it was like, just not as deep. But really, when you go to that depth, you realize like, maybe friendships shouldn't actually be that deep. Like relationships, romantic relationships, that's what it felt like for me with this one person. And I know you shared the same thing.
Yes.
And it happens. I feel like a lot of us actually go through that, where we have this enmeshment and we're swept up away in it. And then you come to realize like, maybe that friendship shouldn't be like a relationship. It was literally like everything but sex.
Yes. Yes. Like with my friendship with Kristen, we grew, like a part of the vet nursing and leaving the industry was actually stepping into traditional business with we were already doing that, but just kind of scaling it, taking it to the next level. And so we were doing business, living together, eating together, everything but having sex together. Like, and people literally thought we were like lesbian married. And we sort of found that out afterwards. But people weren't sure what was going on between us because they're so not used to, in our society, seeing women really gather together and really do what we were doing together. Like, we had investment property together where we were living. Like, we did everything that, and we still do, like we do everything that society would condemn as not normal, which is pretty much how I live my life too. Like, everything that I do is classified as not normal. If it is normal, then there's something wrong with me. Like, there's something going on, you know, like that's how I roll. But yeah, so I totally get it. And there was a lot in our relationship that I needed to unwind and sort of go through. And especially when her beautiful man came along, like there was a lot of like letting go of certain things as well. Like, that's a whole nother conversation and topic. But yeah, I really feel you. I really had to let go because I really loved her. Like, I loved her and I still do. And there's that point of when you love someone so much, you also need to, like what you're saying, let go too. So yeah, it's sisterhood is a wild journey, and I think so many people underestimate it. Like, it's really not for the faint-hearted when you go deep with your sisters. When you really open your heart and you stay open and you stay vulnerable, that is some deep work.
Yeah. It's like realizing that relationships can be just as deep as in sisterhood relationships, can be just as deep as romantic relationships, but in a different way. And even learning that, I feel like that's why we all go through it. We all know deep down on some soul level that there's culturally, like you were even talking about it being culturally abnormal, right? Living and being that close with your best friend. We know that that's missing in society. We can feel it. And so when we go looking for that depth, we just go plummeting into it because it's like a magnet. It's like, oh my God, where has this been my whole life? And then we can go so deep into it that the only way we can relate to it subconsciously, and I feel like this is what happened to me, is by treating it just like a deep romantic relationship, obviously minus the intercourse. But like, it's you can see how we get there and how it becomes confusing, but then having also the right friendship where you can learn how to, like you say, unwind it and come back to a more, I guess, healthy, you could say healthy isn't the right word, but healthy version of what friendship looks like for both people on both receiving ends.
Yep. And we really had to learn that the hard way, which is, we really had to go through the shadows and the depths, and then it's been so beautiful on the other side. So now moving forward, every time if there's something between us, which is not very often, but if there's something there, we always know, like, especially like I always know that there is going to be so much that's going to come from this because I have so much trust in us, and we've been here before, similar things. That was a lot back there. We never need to go back to that state. But as we transition in all relationships, even romantic relationships, you transition together, and you kind of build this, like, you go like higher frequencies together essentially. And so you'll never really go backwards, but you just kind of like, it's like a new level of like, I guess a difference or something that needs to be shifted, some negative energy or whatever it is, to then just keep kind of shifting up. So yeah, I know that every time there's something a bit that needs tweaking between us or our relationship, or there's something needs to be said or spoken, what's coming on the other side of that is phenomenal. And that applies same to my career and taking the risk. I think a big thing that a lot of people are afraid of is taking the risk. But honestly, like, what have you got to lose? Whether it's with your friendships, with a career, with anything, you can always go back to what it was. You can always go back to that job. You can always go back to how you were doing things. But if you never gave it a chance, if you never took the risk, how are you going to know? Like, and for me, I'm not okay with not knowing what's on the other side. So that's more what I'm not okay with,
Yeah. And I think when you were talking about like the friendship and how you can apply it to all aspects of your life, career, the way of being in general as well. I find it really interesting that you say that, and it resonates because that's something I've noticed since branching out, leaving my industry and doing the uncomfortable thing and starting my own business, is that it's almost parallel. Like, as we start to explore and journey through our personal relationships or ourselves, our internal world, that almost becomes the exact mirrored lesson in how we are showing up and leading in our business as well. And so when you spoke about you and Kristen going through, that journey, that almost like karmic cycle of learning together and expanding together. It just makes so much sense that, you know, that was parallel to the Animal Freedom Collective and what that stands for now. And really, it's about helping women build a better relationship with themselves and with animals within the industry, coming out of the industry potentially. And so it's just so interesting that like the universe collective, whatever you want to call it, calls that upon us, thrusts that upon us in divine timing, in alignment with everything else that's going on in our life. Like, it's not just within sisterhood, it's not just within career, it all kind of intertwines, you know?
I really truly believe that life is like, my career and what I do is not separate to who I am, you know, and my relationships, everything is intertwined, I believe. And I believe when people start to believe in that and see how every area of their life is affecting and relating with all their other areas, things really start to shift. You start to notice a lot of things, and you're like, oh, like really who you are, like you want to be your most authentic. Like for me, a big part of my mission and vision is like really being my most authentic self and just being unfuckable with, like, excuse the French, and unstoppable, and just like really knowing at the end of the day when I leave this earth, go to another dimension, wherever I go, that I really gave everything a crack. So really being that curious nature in life and really delving into all those areas of my life, that does affect your career and it does affect your relationships. Everything affects all things. Seeing everything as one, I think, is one of the most powerful things I've really done and evolved as. I think it's been beautiful to really create my life from that place. And I really wish that for all women and men walking forward, is that they're really taking those steps from their most authentic, true place, you know, and they're opening their hearts and they're really able to see that for themselves as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's funny to think that the only way we can do that is by stepping out of the norm, you know? Like, if we were to stay, for example, take your example of being in the vet nursing industry, and at the time you didn't know that there was more because you hadn't stepped outside of it. I think it's not until you step out of that that you actually have the courage to do it. And also, like, it's not until you step out of it that I don't think it's actually possible to expand when you're in the confines of an industry, because the industry is what shapes how can you be your most authentic self and show up as you when you have that many rules and regulations to abide by, you know?
Oh, 100%. Like there's places, and those listening, like there's places, right, where you know those particular friends, you can be more of yourself. And when you're around those other friends, maybe there's parts of you that you dim, or you start to talk different. Like I even notice that around different people. And that's okay, right? But it's knowing when you know that and you have like boundaries, and just like it's just so important, I feel like, to know who you're around and what you're doing. And there's only so much growth that you will have with particular people and particular environments. Whatever you're doing, you got to be in those expansive places that will stretch you to grow, definitely.
Yeah, it's not like about cutting all ties. I think when we are on a spiritual path, at least in the beginning, it's something I've noticed as a pattern with a lot of people, not just myself. We start to cut a lot of ties.
Yeah.
And like sometimes it's warranted, but I've noticed people cut a lot of ties to the point where it's like, it's almost because it's easier to cut ties with them altogether than to have the hard conversation, than to admit that they're only there in your life for a certain percentage, or they're only beneficial to a certain extent. And that means, therefore, we can move our focus elsewhere. Like, it's hard to admit that. It's hard to admit that because it could be someone that you've known your whole life, that you've grown up with your whole life. And then you reach this limit where you're like, I don't feel like we can expand in the same way together anymore. We've reached this limit. And then it's like, okay, I can either cut ties, right? Or I can keep in contact with her and spend a little time with her where I feel it benefits us both, right?
Yeah.
And I think, like, as we start to go through the spiritual community, not just that, but what's coming to mind and heart right now is also sisterhood, and like the awareness of how we build our sisterhood is it doesn't have to be so cutthroat. And in fact, I would argue that when it's cutthroat, it's not coming from a place of love anyway, you know?
Yeah.
There's no need to completely cut ties unless it's something that is honestly hurting you, heart, mind, soul. Of course, then that's a different conversation. But I've seen so many sisterhood and like friendships ruined when what could have been the alternative is to just have the hard conversations, to go into the shadows. And sometimes the other person, you might assume that they're not going to respond because, it's never been their thing. But how do you know until you try, right? It's like what you said. How would you know until you step out of that comfort zone and give it a go? Give it a crack. Try to have the hard conversation. See how they respond. And if they're responsive, you'll be pleasantly surprised. If they're not responsive, then you know what to do next, you know?
Yeah.
I think it's really beautiful what you're doing as well. I'm coming back to the Animal Freedom Collective. The fact that you're bringing women together in the industry speaks volumes to the repair of relationships, not just with themselves, not just with the animals, but within womanhood. So I kind of want to come back to that and speak about what womanhood is for you now that you've kind of gone through a few karmic cycles. You're kind of, do you feel like you're established with Animal Freedom Collective, or it's still establishing? Like, where are you at right now with what you're building, and how does womanhood feel to you right now within that?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I mean, womanhood is such a big topic, but it's something I'm very passionate about, because to be upfront direct, Animal Freedom Collective is at the very baby phase of growth, and which is very exciting because there's a lot to come, and it's even in my numerology and everything, it's like I'm here really for the long haul, you know, so I'm not going anywhere. And it's really about having patience, which is something that I'm navigating and learning. I'm very fiery. I'm an Aries. I'm a Capricorn rising. Like I'm like fiery as fucking, anyway. So there's something I'm learning, right? It's patience in this lifetime, and knowing, okay, it's all worth it, of course. And so we're very baby stages of Animal Freedom Collective, and womanhood is very, you know, very important to me. It's with the vision and mission of Animal Freedom Collective. What I see and what's going to be coming to fruition is really collaborating with other women, whether they're in the industry or not, just women who love animals, have a passion, who want to do more, who just love growth, who just want to connect and be more out in nature. And with that, there's women from all different parts of the world, right? And we all get to travel to each other. Maybe we've got some people in Africa, some women in Africa, or men that are doing some amazing things with animals, or people, whatever it is. But it's really making the impact that I always wanted to see in the world for the environment, for animals. And so they might be helping the zebras, I don't know, in Africa, and then there's a few of us that travel to Africa and we all help out, and we all like stayed in Airbnb together, and we cook together, and when we talk together and we heal together, like that's the whole point. So we're helping animals and we're helping ourselves. And then there might be someone in Mexico, or there might be, you know, me here in Australia at the moment, or Bali. Like I've done a fair bit of work over in Bali too, and Cambodia, wherever it is, like doesn't matter. But the whole vision of that is women coming together, like strong women, healing, being vulnerable, helping animals, helping Mother Nature. After all, Mother Nature, the feminine energy, you know, like she's here, like we want to be there together. And then to the point where it's like, you know, maybe I'm having a home birth and I've got women coming from all over the world. Like we're here to, like, it's not just about business, it's about all areas of life. Like in business, for me, it's all areas. It's true collaboration, and that's actually why, for me personally, I stopped coaching and started coming more into the this type of business model, because I actually wanted those women to invest into themselves, so then we can travel together and we can create something together, and they can really fulfill their vision and mission, however that looks, in something with a company that really aligns with my values. And so really health is a big forefront of that as well, which is something I'm really, really passionate about and have really come a long way with as well. So womanhood, that for me is like real sisterhood, womanhood. It's really from women from all over the world coming together. And I know those women in the industry, the vet industry in particular, are they're suffocated. They don't have that. And I'm like, I fucking used to be there. Like I used to be there. I totally know what that feels like. And I had to go through the depths, and maybe these women don't need to journey what I journeyed to the extent, but that's what makes me as a leader, is I've journeyed that, and I can hold space for that. I've run retreats. I've walked the fire. I've walked that myself. And so whatever they're going through, I can help them. And I'm supported, like women like yourself that are strong and just beautiful and wear their heart on their sleeve, and also very know their boundaries as well. And I've got that network of women to be able to support them too. That is a big part of why I love what I do. And I'm a big believer I'm like a cheerleader for those in my community around me, those leaders who I walk with. I'm so proud women like you in my space, and it gives me soul bumps. Like, I'm so proud of the women that I surround myself with, and I'm excited. Like, these women coming in, I'm like, you have no idea what you're about to walk through. You have no idea what you're saying yes to. You think you're saying yes to a business model, but you're saying yes to like friendship and healing and just this like feeling alive in yourself. And like, I'm like, here, have my sisters, here, have my mentors, here, have everything that I've journeyed over the past 8 years in particular, and let me help you, you know. And so even numerology, human design is a big part of what I love to bring in my business, and that's, I guess, what sort of sets me different to those in my niche, in my field as well, is that I just love to bring more of that aspect into it. No one's doing what I feel like I'm doing here with Animal Freedom Collective, and for me that's very important. It's very unique, and so I'm very excited for what's to come. Like I said, we're very, very early baby stages, but I know where we're heading, and I'm doing a lot of work with animal sanctuaries and just about to head off in a week or so. There's just so much to come. You know, I'll never stop. And that's very exciting. When you have that fire, it's what I always wanted, is just to have that fire that I have now. And now I have it. It's like just remembering not to take that for granted.
And not to let anyone take that away from you as well.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Literally.
I don't think that's in you, though. I know.
Sorry, but yeah, I know you do. But like, honestly, like, it will test you. Like, I've had someone very close to me that I've not had to, have chosen to walk away from. And he just tested, like I was tested big time, you know. And there'll be moments, you know, there'll be people that are very close to you that, I think this is a big piece to talk into as well, is that there'll be people very close to you that you, like you said, Shannon, maybe poured a lot into, right? And you gave them everything. And you, in some way, the shadows of that had an expectation of them that they would return that. And then you get let down, or it just doesn't work out. And you're like, but I gave it everything. It's like, it doesn't matter, because all that matters is who you are as a person, and it matters how you love and loved, and what you value, and who your integrity as a person. I think that's one of the most main thing is as well, is that you will be tested by people that you love, and it's okay. And learning how to let go of things that aren't serving you, it's very important. So no matter what level you're at, you will be tested, and that's the whole point, is that will help you scale to the next level. And learning, I've got a mentor who I follow online. She talks a lot about learning how to embrace the heartbreak, and she's just this wild woman. So if you can love being heartbroken to some degree, I know that may sound crazy, but if you can just love that feeling and embrace being human, and just like enjoy when you're heartbroken, like, that is one of the most insane, amazing things we can do as a human being, is like, we can still really love the journey. So
make friends with the discomfort.
Yes.
You know, and you can speak to that from a love vibration and an emotion vibration, a connectedness with people, but just in general as well, like starting to find ways that can anchor us and ground us while we go through the discomfort, that can provide safety, a sense of safety, and like sanctuary while we're going through the discomfort, to start to embrace it, to move through it, because it's a lot easier to just go surface level with these things and say it's all done and dusted than to go to the depths. And going to the depths is not something, it's like the industries and their boundaries and their confined walls. You know, you talked about within the vet industry, there's no space there where they talk about health, friendships, mental support, emotional support. It's there on surface level, probably because it's a regulation of theirs where they have to provide that for you. Surface level though, there's no depth to it. Like, it's just, the only space there is the industry and the logistics. And I guess we could go into patriarchy and matriarchy with that too. But we're women, we feel like we can't suppress that. We can't dim that light, that love, coming back to that vibration and that love. And so I think it is really beautiful what you're doing. It's really adding the pieces that are missing to industry, and also not being afraid of stepping out of the zone so far so that it becomes friendship. The people you work with become a friendship, because that's something that was, I don't know if it was the same for you in vet nursing, maybe different because you were working with animals, but me, I was a body worker. I'd work on people's bodies. And, you know, it was very, very ingrained. Do not make friends with your clients. The second you make friends with your clients, you have to break your professional relationship. But I had probably in my 12 years, 2 people where admittedly that didn't happen. I became friends with them.
Yeah.
And I kind of get their perspective. It's like, especially when it comes to psychology and the mental health industry, like that can be a little more dangerous. But what they should be teaching is what healthy relationship looks like, so we can better identify that and call that in, rather than just don't have the relationship at all, right?
Yeah.
Keep it
100%.
surface level. No, if there's an opportunity for you to grow with someone and be friends with them while having that be a part of your career, because again, we're blending our whole lives with our career, right?
Yeah.
You and I
Yes.
are.
Yes.
So it makes sense that the friendships intertwine between the two as well, between personal and business, and that they become one.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, so when you spoke about that, and just, having the friendships within Animal Collective, banding together as women, I thought that was really beautiful.
Thank
Yeah.
you. Yeah, I think it's a big topic. Like at the end of the day, I feel like everything business, everything comes down to relationships. And
Mm-hmm.
the main biggest relationship is the one we have with ourselves. And that's been my biggest journey, and is I feel like a human being's biggest journey is really building that relationship with themselves. And once we do that, like I'm no better than anybody else. Like I'm just on that journey as much as anybody else. And I'm building and I'm learning and being vulnerable, making mistakes, and just this is just what it is. And so yeah, I think the biggest thing we can do is build that relationship with ourselves and just be honest with ourselves. Like I feel like what I talk about online is just, and I've had so many people message me in the industry being like, you're saying the things that nobody's saying. And it's like,
Mm-hmm.
that's all I'm doing. I'm just saying the things that everybody's thinking anyway. It's like, why are we so afraid to say the truth? What, and
Mm-hmm.
where does that come from? Like that in itself is a big topic, and like, that can be in any industry. There's like, as your industry, there's things that people would be holding back or not saying, and then
Mm-hmm.
you start saying it, and people are like, oh my God, you're saying the things that I want to be saying. It's like, you can.
Yeah.
It's just like people have always been like, oh, I'll never be as confident. I've had some loved ones really close to me tell me that. And I'm like, do you know, like it's taken work to get this
Mm-hmm.
confident, but you have to start somewhere, and it starts with yourself. Anything in your life, if you're stuck with anything, it's just a time to get out in
Mm-hmm.
nature, get off your phone, get the journal and pad. Even if you don't write anything, go for a walk. Like for me, moving my body is really important. Like just get back out in nature, and you'll find all the answers. They'll just come flooding to you. But you've got to give that space and time to yourself. And I feel like that's just what I've kept doing, is when I start externalizing and seeking things outside of myself, it's really that time to come back to myself. And
Mm-hmm.
that's where magic really happens.
Yeah, coming back to your sovereignty. And I think sovereignty has been overused on social media to the point where
Yeah.
I'm annoyed, because I think it's very sacred, that word. And I think
Yeah.
within it holds a lot of power. And I don't want to discredit it just because it became a social media trend and it's come and gone. Like, your sovereignty is the most important thing. And that's where we can come back to the curious mind and the self-awareness. That's the biggest part of, to me, that's coming through right now, of sovereignty, is having that curious mind rather than living into that subconscious, unaware, reactive state, bringing curiosity to it. Because if we don't, for example, say we recognize we're in a place or a situation, or we're in a reactive state, something we're not happy with, something feels off, and we start to suppress that and shame it,
Mm.
like, going into that doesn't get us anywhere. Whereas if we look at it objectively from a curious mind, still connected to it, still wanting to move through it, but with that curiosity and that awareness, to me, that's the path to sovereignty. And
Mm-hmm.
sovereignty means you can literally build your life. We're coming back to that blank canvas analogy at the start. You can literally build your life. And when I first met you, and then met you in person afterwards, because for those of you who don't know, Courtney and I met while I was living in Spain, and then when I moved back, we eventually met up in person.
Yeah.
Meeting you in person just instilled the light that I saw in you, and the light that I see in you really is like a fire. And it's like, you're the person. I'm thinking of the the Olympics, the 2000 Olympics.
Yeah.
Kathy Freeman, you're literally the
My
person
God, stop it.
with the baton with the fire leading the way.
Oh,
Yeah.
thank you so much. Like, oh, yeah.
As well as cheerleader, we got to mix a bit of cheerleader in there too, because you really do have this really compelling way of making people feel powerful in themselves. And I think that's another big part of sovereignty, is like
Mm.
really feeling like you can back yourself. And sometimes you just need a little bit of a push there from an external source. It's not that you should rely on external sources, because again, that's a sign to come inward again. But having that environment around you, those people around you, and you definitely are that person with the torch.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Like fully receiving that. I really love that. And as a 4/6 in a human design like profile, like that is my jam, you know, and that's what I'm realizing more and more. Like that is my jam. So the more I lean into my personal energetics, the more I've been lit up. I just want to touch on what you shared. I think is very, very powerful for those that maybe missed it, is that you touched on about like leaning on your external sources and then obviously not too much. I feel like there's stages in your life, there's definitely been stages in my life where I needed to lean on the belief in other people, that their belief that they have in me more than I had in myself. Like I had to lean on so many different people in their belief, like Kristen, like heaps of different people, especially there's this one moment of leaving a 9 to 5. I was doing like an insurance job. I was doing like 3 jobs and building traditional business and chaotic, right? Chaotic stuff. But she really breathed belief into me to leave my 9 to 5 job at the time. Was it the best decision? I don't know. But it was a decision that I chose. And she had so much belief in me that I needed to have that. If I didn't have those people around me who have done it and been there and just breathed that belief into me, there's no way that I would really have taken the action or gone to the places where I've gone. Like I never would have thought I was going to be a facilitator ever in my lifetime. Like never would. I kind of envisioned myself as a leader, but never thought any of that. And then like having the people around me, especially someone like Kristen, who just kept signing us up to things. Literally, she's like, we're going to do this and we're going to do this. And of course I have free will in that. And also for me, I'm like, how could I not do it? How could I not? I know that that's an edge. How can I not experience it? That's what I'm about. So I just wanted to share that because it's very valid what you said. Like, feel like you have those different stages in your life where you got to lead the way, and there'll be times where you got to
receive.
Receive. Yeah, you got to receive, and you got to just like trust the people around you that they do know best as well. And that they do. That's why it's important to have the right people around you.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's very humbling for both, like the receiving and the provider, to realize that there's going to be moments where like, hey, I'm not the one guiding the torch here. I need some time to rest. Like
take it.
Yeah. But then having that, again, it's coming back to the sisterhood and the friendship dynamics within womanhood, is like having that, it doesn't have to be equal, but an equilibrium, right? Where it balances or swings back and forth like a pendulum.
Yes.
Of, hey, I got you. And then, hey, I got you. And it happens in all relationships that are healthy. But like the thing that's coming to mind as you were speaking that is I really recently experienced this on a feeling level, like a big emotional level, was on the weekend. My best friend she's postpartum, her first child, and Bub came early, so she wasn't able to have her mother blessing before giving birth. And so we then revisited that event postpartum, and it became this beautiful closing of the bones. And I feel like that mother blessing was so much more powerful postpartum, because what you could feel more than anything is that she was so open to, and she was very specific with the women she invited. They were her soul sisters, the ones who she knew she could lean on. So she knew her boundaries, and she was very clear in the intention she wanted for the day, even though she wasn't the one organizing it. And that whole day was so cup filling for everyone. But the best part, my most favorite part, was watching her receive, because I feel like it can be mirrored back as a reminder to all women in the group. Like, this is a moment for women to come together. This is what womanhood looks like when we come together. And there was like so many beautiful moments where this is one particular moment at the end, we did like kind of a similar to the closing of the bones ritual for her, initiating her into like the path of motherhood going forward. We all had our hands on her, and it was the most special moment. Like, you could just feel she was being held, but you could also feel the collective energy of womanhood in the room, and like everyone had each other's back. It was an unspoken thing. And like, how powerful is that? And that's where I say it was more of a feeling thing, because it wasn't a lot of spoken words. It was all feeling based. And to me, that's the shit.
Yeah, that is the shit.
I was like, I have to say this. That's the shit. Like,
it's so true. Yeah, I wasn't sure if I was allowed to swear or not actually on this, so I probably should have asked.
Yeah, no, it's fine. Swear away.
But yeah, it's the feeling. It's an energetic thing. And that's what I feel like I've learned a lot about is that, you know, I was very logical growing up, and yeah, I still can be quite logical, and I love that part of me. And also is like just delving more into being a woman and what that feels like, and in who am I as a woman in a relationship and in my friendships. Like that is a very sacred journey of learning and being around, yeah, I want to say out of the norm, beautiful sisterhood, like connections and the holistic side. And like I just feel like it's I don't know, I just have a lot of gratitude for women like you in my life, you know, and that we just connect. And yeah, we connected like twice, and I feel like I've known you my whole life. And I think like those type of relationships, you got to nurture them, you got to love them. And that's, yeah, you got to really, it's something that you learn and navigate as you go. And I think that's a big thing. Like even if you're listening to this and you're like, I love that, but that's not for me, or how do I do that? It's like you don't, there's no manual for how to be a great friend. There's no manual for how to be a great partner. There's no manual of how to do life. There's universal laws and principles for sure we can navigate. That's a whole nother topic. But how we navigate our relationships is entirely you. It's
unique.
It's unique. And like, how do you want to nurture yourself? When you know how to nurture yourself, you know how to nurture other people, you know, and what a blessing that is. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that was going to be my next question is like, to you, how can we find more womanhood and how can we attract that? But you just answered my question there is like, find the love for you. And it's such a cliche, but it's a cliche for a reason. If you can learn how to love yourself, not just what it feels like to love yourself, but how to, that's your unique expression of love. You're opening and expanding that inwards, yes, but it can be opened up outwards. There's an inward and outward energy within all of us that flows in and out.
Yeah,
And
I can touch on that if you like, because
go
like
more
even
deep
more in like the how, I can give some examples like shame slaying. One of my mentors, I think I've introduced you to her as well. Her name's Shoshana. I highly recommend you go and check her out. She is a phenomenal woman, and she talks a lot about shame slaying. So I wanted to bring her a bit more into this as well, because for me, I can see that being my journey of when I start to look at all the things that I feel shame around or feel guilt around, when I really look at that and I scream them from the rooftops, one of them including having herpes, and she actually had a similar journey as well. And it's a stigma that nobody understands, that they think is this dangerous thing, which is actually not at all. And that majority of people have it. It's like when you start like being okay with those parts of yourself that you are hiding, you are unstoppable. You are magnetic. You are like, no one can say anything to you. No one can break you. Like that is when you're your true, most authentic self. When you're hiding things from yourself, and I see it in, you know, clients and places where I help facilitate, the adult version of them is wanting to protect them, but they're not realizing that the child within is just wanting to be loved. And how we do that is by shame slaying, is by really looking at the things that make us really uncomfortable. When we look at them, we realize it's not so bad, and we can navigate that and we can let it go. And a lot of the time it just is about looking at it, then that's enough. Then there's beautiful practices like you have, Shannon, that you get to bring in and you get to like really heal. Like there's all these different healing modalities that I've also done, but you just got to start with looking at yourself. And when you do that, that's when you can really cultivate and have those beautiful relationships in your life, because I believe everything is a reflection of ourself. Everything, the good, the bad, whatever we perceive as good, evil, everything is a reflection of ourselves. So when we start owning that and we take accountability in our life, accountability is a big key word there. When we start taking that accountability, that's when things can start to change for the better, and who we truly want to be, and we let go of that past versions of ourselves. So that, I believe, is loving ourselves. Loving ourselves unconditionally, loving ourselves through the thick and thin, love, like that is just where I guess that journey really unravels. And then there's so many different practices and modalities that would literally just come to you. Maybe listening to this podcast, like now it's just come to you. Do you know what I mean? And just because you're on that journey and you're starting to be in your truth, when you're in your truth, the universe responds. It is always listening to you. So in everything that you're doing right now, it's always giving you what you want. So if you don't have what you want, it's because there's a part of you right now that's not being truthful with what you actually do want. The universe is just giving you what you're saying you want. So what is that unconscious, subconscious belief that's running in your mind and story that's playing over and over again for you to be creating your reality that you're creating now?
I'm like hearing all that and taking that all in because that was very powerful, all of it. Yeah.
It's big, isn't it? It's a big
Yeah.
concept.
Yeah, it is. And like I know the listeners will be the same, taking that in and going, well, yeah, there's going to be parts that resonate for them. What I wanted to ask off the back end of that was, you talked about the feeling of it all and how to navigate it internally because it is going to be unique to each person, developing and expanding themselves. And you mentioned a few modalities, right? And I'm a firm believer of like, try it all out. Try it all out, see what sticks, trust what resonates, trust what you're magnetized to. It's like you say, that's what the universe is going to deliver to you, what you're ready for in your frequency. For those who are listening that want to expand, that want to do more and are resonating with you more so, what is it that you believe works for you? Like I know you've mentioned human design and a bit of numerology, I believe you mentioned in this earlier.
Yep.
Are they like your two modalities that you've explored the most? What else, what other modalities have been there that have helped you? Yeah.
Yeah. So I love this. This is like, I love talking about this stuff. This is what predominantly my relationships we always are talking about because it's about you. It's about your energetics. It's like, just like, it's fun learning, it's fun learning all this stuff about yourself. You get to take what resonates, leave what doesn't, also really look into the parts that doesn't resonate with you. Why is that? Challenge it. But yeah, it'd be human design, numerology. A large part of human design is astrology. So, but also like Kristen was a bit more of the astrology side, as in, so digging deeper into that. Some free apps I can give you. So Teledipity, we can even drop this in the show notes, but Teledipity is a free numerology app. And I swear to God by this app. Like I swear it gives you monthly forecasts. It gives you an annual forecast of what's going on in your life. Last year for me was a very chaotic travel year. I was in my year 5. This year in my year 6. Animal Freedom Collective was birthed officially last year, and I navigated all of that. I found out what I wanted to pursue moving forward, what it actually was set in stone, to be able to like have the base foundation to grow from. And then this year is all about running with it. And it's all about my family and my relationships, which I totally feel like, yes, I want to travel a little bit, but it's not like last year was hectic, So knowing these, like when I understood these parts, like everything was just so true. And yeah, especially navigating it just kind of eases things a little bit. Like it makes me feel like a bit more at ease, a bit more peaceful. Some people might think it's full of shit and I'm just everything's made up anyway. Do you know what I mean? So choose what made up thing you want to believe in then and just run with it. And for me, these things really have always rung true. So human design is where I started before I was 21, actually, as a vet nurse, I'm pretty sure. Like I learned about human design through my kinesiologist. And when she told me about human design and my human design, I was like, I feel so heard and understood. I could not believe it. Like I'm a workaholic in the best way. Like I love what I do and I just run with it. People tell me to slow down, but it's just not the case, So it's like knowing those things really helps you break free from what the cage that you're putting yourself in, essentially. That's been my experience. And then there's also, I spoke about my mentors and doing, I guess, the deeper subconscious work and really getting to like my limiting beliefs. It's essentially the people in your life, especially from the age, because we create our reality from the age of 0 to 8 years old. And so from there, we have like one new story every so often. I can't remember the specific timing of that, but it's like we have one new thought, very little amount compared to what we created from 0 to 8, the story, how we set it. So right now, us talking, is my little girl in me, like, and you too, Shannon, and though you listening, like, this is your little girl running the show. She's creating your reality. So anything that has happened for you, not to you, happened for you in between the ages of 0 to 8 years old, that is who is running the show. And that's wild. You're like, and if you've got kids, you're like, you're saying my kids are running the show? Yes, that is exactly what I'm saying. This is the true inner child work. So, we speak a lot about, okay, like who are you not okay with? Like who are you still not, who do you still not love, essentially? Who do you still pinpoint? Who is the one to blame? And it's generally always mum or dad. Generally stems from there first, and then it navigates who you attract in your relationships, sexual or not, like is essentially probably a form of mum or dad, you know? And so doing that type of work, and I actually went to Bali last year and learnt how to do the particular process. So I actually have that as a background as well. That completely changed my life. That is what helped me with my wealth, like savings. People are like, how does that navigate with your wealth? It has everything to do with your wealth. This is what we're saying. Everything is everything. All of your all of the different areas of your life is all one. So they speak a lot about wealth. And so for me, as a 21-year-old, I was able to invest in my first investment property with Kristen. We made our six figures in our first year of business, traditional business. And like, so all of that really came about from doing that deep work. And I really, truly believe it was doing that work at the beginning, following my human design, taking risks, all of that kind of those beautiful things. It was what led me to where I am today. So yeah, it is really, I've done light codes. I'm a light codes practitioner. Like all these beautiful energetic work and things are all part of it.
Have you looked into family constellations too? Because everything you've just said, I haven't either, but everything you've just said, it like sparked that memory in me when I was watching a documentary. I think it was on Netflix, and it was the Goop series, you know, the Gwyneth Paltrow Goop series.
Sort of, yeah.
If you haven't watched that, watch it because it's awesome. And one of the episodes is on family constellations, and they go somewhere in Asia and look at ancestral and childhood trauma through that work. And so just when you were saying that, I just thought I'd mention that because I haven't experienced it for myself, just aside from watching the episode. But that came into my mind as you were saying that.
I love that.
Something fun to look into. Yeah.
I don't know. Have you ever looked into gene keys?
No.
No, so
we're helping each other out.
I know, and for those, see, this is just there's so many modalities. Right? Yeah. Gene keys is I've heard amazing, and how it relates. And for those that know a little bit about human design, you've got these energetic gates in your human design, which are your little personality things about yourself, unconscious and conscious. So things that are subconscious that you know subconsciously, and things that you know consciously about yourself. And I think the gene keys goes into them like 100-fold in depth in certain ways. So I was literally just saying to Kristen yesterday, market days on Sunday, I said my next thing is definitely going into gene keys. I feel like, so it's been on the back of my mind. So this is going to keep me accountable in that. So I'm constantly learning. Definitely not perfect.
Yeah. And like when you mentioned teledipity too, that's another affirmation for me to get the paid version because I've just been dancing around it. And so
you don't need the paid version.
I have the free version, but I like that depth, you know, being a projector.
Yeah.
So I feel like I would actually use it more if there was more depth. So like that for me has been a push in the right direction from you. And this as you guys are listening, this is an example of what we were talking about before, is like allow your tribe, like allow yourself to lean in and receive what comes through from your tribe. You know, you don't have to be the one leading and facilitating and holding it all.
No,
it's a two-way street. Like help each other out, you know. This is
help a girl out, you know.
Help a girl out. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I love it. Awesome. So they're probably the main modalities. I know there's heaps.
There's so much. Yeah,
there's probably some ones that I've missed for sure, but they're always my go-to. And I always come back to them, you know. And so I go through, especially that process that I learned with my mentors. I do that. Like I've done that process on my mum and dad. Like that process really. I've had a lot of trouble with my little sister. I've got one sister growing up, and I went through, and even after years of doing this type of process, I did this one, there was this one time that I went through this process, and it was on my sister, and everything shifted. I was laughing, I was crying, I was like, had a massive awakening. Like I realized that my sister saved my life and I didn't even know it. And I just look at her in such awe now, in such love and gratitude. And I never used to have that perception of my sister. And so this type of work is like, that in itself is like, if I was to die tomorrow, touch wood, no, but if that was to happen, I would be okay. You know, I'm okay with myself because I'm choosing every day and every single moment to show up in vulnerability, and I do my best, and I'm not perfect, but I just like give it a crack. So that's what I wish for everybody, is just your version is going to look different to mine, to Shannon's, but just give your life a crack because you deserve it. That little girl, that little boy inside you fucking deserves to have a crack in life, you know, and to really truly be their most authentic self and just do what you want to do. And so just, yeah, keep leaning into that. That's probably the one thing I just really would love for anyone to take away from this, is just like give your life a crack, because you actually really deserve it.
Yeah. And to add to that, because there's an experience I had with you the moment I met you when you came into my home. To add to that, don't be afraid to be yourself, but also when you're surrounded by the right people, you'll be able to do that naturally. So find your people. So I feel like there's like the two things is like really give yourself a crack, really be there, back yourself, do the things your heart and soul is calling for, your inner child is calling for, but do it with the people where you know they've got your back. Because there's this funny thing that I was like, I think energetically, well, I know energetically was putting off seeing Courtney in real life, because I had this really, really funny story. She knows where I'm going with this. This really funny story that Courtney wasn't going to like me because I wasn't a vegan. And as soon as she came into my house, it was like a guilt letting off the heaviness of the guilt. I was like, I'm going to be honest, I'm worried you're not going to like me because I still eat fish. Like,
I think I just laughed. I think I literally laughed in Shannon's face. I was just like, what? Anyway, it was beautiful. And the fact that you shared that with me, you know, like, and instantly I was like, this woman is my woman, you know, like, I love that. I love that you just went there and shared that. And I think that is beautiful.
Vulnerability opens up vulnerability. But I also think, again, finding the people where they emanate that, and you as a person within Animal Freedom Collective, within yourself, everything emanate that is like, yes, you're strong in your values, yes, you have your boundaries, but also you have this real loving, like unconditional loving vibration to yourself. And how could you not? You're such a being lover. And what I mean by that is like not just humans, you're an animal lover, you're a being lover, a lover of all. So if you pair that together, that is such a rebellious and loving heart. And that's to me what you are. Yeah.
Thank you. And what a mirror. What a beautiful mirror I am of you.
I love that you do that to me. She was doing this the day we caught up for the first time. She's like, that's a mirror of you, right? And it's like being open to receiving that as a compliment, and that constant reminder, again, allowing myself to receive from her in that way. It's this is such a beautiful example.
I'll just quickly share on that, because what you see in others, whether it's the good or the bad, whatever it is within you. You cannot physically see something in someone else without having it in yourself. So that is why I say it, is because one, we don't get taught this in schools and in society and stuff like that. So, and it's something that I've learned is like, people, we just need more cheerleaders in the world. We need more people that are doing the best that they can, and then helping other people realize that too, because like, yes, the shadow work and all of that is really important, and at the end of the day, like, we also need more people that are just like, you can do it. Sometimes you just need somebody to be like, that's you too, and they're like, oh yeah, and then off they go and they, doing their life. Like, sometimes you just need somebody to say that to you. And it really, I feel like my biggest transformations, like, I've had like $1 million mentors and things, like, so much. I feel like I said this to Kristen. I said, my biggest coach has been myself and Kristen. Like, the conversations that I have on a day-to-day basis with women like yourself, Shannon, as well, that is where the magic actually truly happens, and where the transformation actually happens. And this is what I mean, where community is important. Yes, have mentors for sure in business and other areas of your life. And sometimes the biggest mentors are actually the women that are doing the work in the arena with you, which are your bestest of friends, your soul sisters. And then you actually grow together. Like Kristen and I, we did that shit ourselves. We had mentors, but at the end of the day, it was up to us to really create the business, the life that we wanted to create. And we were like, okay, you all in? And she's like, yep. And I'm like, she's like, are you all in? And I'm like, yep. And we just we just did it. We knew no one on the sunny coast, and we built what we built. So the biggest things will come from the conversations that you're having here with Shannon and I today, is just by this is where your life gets to transform in this very moment as well. So I just want to share that.
That's awesome. I usually finish off with like, is there any last final seeds of wisdom? But I feel like that was it.
I feel like that was it.
That was it.
I'll talk forever. You'll be like, okay, Courtney, you need to shut up. Because I'll just
keep talking to me. But yeah, we will have to end the podcast at some point. So
yes. I love it.
I feel like we'll have you on the podcast again. There's so much more we can expand, even just from this. Like, we've talked about a lot. Yeah. And we could just expand in every little nook and cranny of this podcast episode. So I'd love to have you back on again. again in the
I would
future.
love to. I would
Yeah.
love to be here. It would be awesome. It would be really cool. I don't know if you do this. It'd be really cool to like have somebody on and like have people on and I don't know if it's like a live and I just get these ideas sometimes in the moment and they ask questions and we can just like divert because I love being in the moment too. So maybe if your listeners, if they have particular questions and they're like, we want to know this next time or we want to like, that would be really amazing too. So please bring in your questions to Shannon. I'd love to hear, or even send me a DM as well. I'd love to do that. I really love talking, obviously. So
Yeah.
it's good to just keep talking.
Well, for any of you who do feel like reaching out to Courtney or myself about the podcast, about being on the podcast, about any of Courtney's offerings or my offerings, I'll pop them all in the show notes below so that you can access them. I'll also put the gene key, was it the gene key? Teledipity.
Yeah. Teledipity.
Info down there below for anyone. Alrighty. Well, I think that leaves us ready to wrap things up for today. Thank you for your space and your time, Courtney.
Thank you so
and
much
for the listeners as well.
Yes, thank you.
All right. And to the listeners, I'll see you next week. See you
Thanks
later, guys.
so much. Bye.
As we finish this week's episode, remember that you are your own rhythm keeper. So just keep listening for that rhythm and keep coming home to you. Until next time, with love, Shannon at Somatic Body.